Wait. The shock. Oh my God. Really? Man, take a trip down memory lane with me for a second. So, when I first got on YouTube and everything blew up, I made sure that I made my different social medias. I already had a Facebook, so I didn't need that, but I made a fan page for Facebook. I made an Instagram. I even had a Vine, and I made a Twitter. But I was never on Twitter. So when the controversies with video games and other things started up, all of a sudden I would see comments on my, YouTube videos that would say, yo, they trying to cancel you over on Twitter, they saying all this trash about you. So I went over to Twitter and checked it out, and I'm like, oh, these people are absolutely insane. Something's wrong with them. And if you go to their profiles, because I just had to check them, I'm like, who are you? Like, what is this? And you scroll, you see that this person is an absolute miserable person. They do nothing but attack people all day long. That in itself is a mental illness. I don't know why they all are like it's like the same stuff. It's like all of them never show their real face, as if they're ashamed of what they do or they're not proud of who they are. They all have their pronouns in their profile. I don't know why that is a thing. Because I know plenty of people, I've met people in the industry that use their pronouns in their profile that are really good people. They're not attacking people. But why is there like a subculture of people with pronouns in their profile attacking people all the time? What is that? You know what I'm saying? It's always some weird stuff on their profiles too, man. Like really weird stuff. I had enough years ago. I just block them now. But look, you don't believe me? Go on over to Twitter, type my name in the search, hit enter, and hit latest, because you want to make sure you get the freshest ones. Go to their profiles. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Absolute, it's just ridiculousness. So, woke people are more likely to be unhappy, anxious, and depressed. What a shocker. So, I told you that I had a woke friend that I am not friends with anymore. And when I first met them and had several long conversations with them, look, I've met people before that have had problems. I'm still their friends, and they're still good people and whatever. But this person had these issues, and I'm just like, wow. And they showed their true colors. And I'm like, wow. Well, I've lived this, so this study I definitely believe to be true. Someone that was close to me and all the harassment on Twitter, it proves this. You just look at the profiles, you can see that all these people are unhappy. So, is ignorance bliss? Psychological researchers in Finland have created an assessment to help measure an individual's commitment to principles of social justice, and have made some surprising findings across the Finnish population. Not surprising to me. Including a negative correlation between progressive ideals and levels of happiness. Their findings, published in the Scandinavian Journal of Psychology, suggest that Western nations may see similar patterns among their social conscious citizens. Study author Oskari Lahtinen, a senior researcher at the Invest Research Flagship Center at the University of Turku, remarked that the woke discourse has since worked its way into Finnish discourse. This debate was largely data-free, and it could thus be considered a worthwhile question to study how prevalent these studies are. He continued, no reliable and valid instrument existed prior to the study to assess the extent and prevalence of those attitudes in different populations. So I set out to develop one. Their research trajectory included extensive reading on intersectional feminism, critical race theory, queer theory, and other relevant academic disciplines that inform the critical social justice signpost reports. The pilot survey included 851 adult participants, most of whom were associated with the University of Turku. After refining the initial scale, the study was expanded to a more representative national sample of 5,000, distributed via, I can't pronounce that. In the end, their final critical social justice attitude scale identified 7 truisms of woke folks. If white people have, on average, higher level of income than black people, it is because of racism. University reading lists should include fewer white or European authors. Microaggressions should be challenged often and actively. I forgot what a microaggression is. I remember when it first came out and people, or at least got popular, and people were talking like, what the hell is a microaggression? They were talking about Zoomers whining and being whiny and, prissy and stuff like this. Trans women who compete with women in sports are not helping women's rights. Reverse scored. What is that? Okay. We don't need to talk more about the color of people's skin. White person cannot understand how black people feel equally as well as another black person. A member of a privileged group can adopt features or cultural elements of a less privileged group. Reverse scored. The gender divide was probably most surprising to me. 3 out of 5 women view woke ideas positively, but only 1 out of 7 men. You know what I found out today? That 80% of men are beta. 80% of men are beta. Some of you are going to say, alpha and all that doesn't exist. But the idea of these traits are real amongst men. That explains a whole lot. A whole lot. This was especially true of women in fields of social sciences, education, and humanities. By contrast, participants who worked in STEM were more likely to critique social justice efforts associated with being woke. However, the most concerning finding was the relationship between mental health and agreement with the scale. Specifically, researchers found a high prevalence of anxiety and depression in people who believe the statement, if white people have an average of a higher income than black people, is because of racism. More broadly, they found that those who identified as left-wing were most likely to report lower mental health well-being. So scientists warned against extrapolating their findings to international audiences just yet, particularly across Western nations. These studies were quite robust, with a sample of above 5,000 and good psychometric properties. However, the scale would need to be validated in North American samples in order to know how these attitudes manifest here. Let me tell you, I'm on social media all day. Boy. Well, what do you think about that, folks? I think this is extremely telling. Post comments down below. Let me know what you all think. If you've enjoyed my thoughts on this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share.